Welcome back, Mere Mortal Lines. We are live 9 a.m.-ish on a Sunday. We've got the Mere Mortals Meanderings. It is the 8th of February. You got Juan here.
And Karen here.
And today, I think the title of this one is just talking about abundance, although the little description you put is a bum dance, or a bun dance.
Something like that.
So abundance, we were talking about this in the last podcast around, we talked around it a little bit. So we defined it a little bit, we were describing it somewhat, and we were like, okay, well, let's just talk about it separately. Yes. I think we can apply the conversation of abundance like in so many different paths and ways. I'm wanting to explore it even beyond technology, because that's the easy one. Easy one to talk about abundance is technology. I didn't want to search for the definition of abundance. I wanted to just think about it myself, what I thought about the kind of concept. And to me was, as simple as I can think it, abundance is when it's something that you ultimately want or you want to achieve, and there's such opportunity or ease of collection or achievement to it that you don't even have to worry about. There's almost zero friction to achieve what you want. So that's kind of like my definition of abundance. So
it's got to be so far off what the actual
probably, but I'm like let's look at let's look at what actual abundance is. But I'm going to say it's zero friction basically to getting what you want.
No, it's got nothing to do with friction.
So abundance, I think it's a very large quantity of something.
Yeah.
And a bit. Oh no, this is probably not. That's definitely not what. There's like a game thing.
You can be dirt poor and there can be abundance all around you. It doesn't mean that it's easy to get. I view it more as just a quantity thing rather than anything of.
Oh yeah, no, this is good. So, and I guess this is a good distinction, because in the meaning of the word, as I'm just looking at it there, it means just lots of something, whatever that means. And you're right, whether it's actually accessible or not, that's immaterial. But I think the way people are describing it and using it is in that way that I've like termed it somewhat, where it's like, oh, we're going to have an abundant world. What I think they're extrapolating that meaning.
To be clear, the AI people.
Sorry, the AI people. Although in food as well, it's something that I've heard the abundant term in terms of doing the vertical farming, and then you don't need, what's the size of it? I can't remember the size, but they were saying like, we grow in the farmlands X amount of space, and they're like, oh yeah, but we can turn that into a vertical farm structure that can do this. We can have abundant food. We don't need all of the land, agricultural land. We're going to have abundant food. So I've heard it in food places as well. That's probably the only two, like really honestly I've heard that. Yeah. Maybe it's in others. Mm-hmm. But I think the concept they use abundance on is, yes, there's lots of it, but also it's like super easy to get, super frictionless. It's always about, but you're right. That's like not the default and not by the definition of abundance, which is a good distinction of it.
Well, I guess, I'm trying to think of parallels, and I guess water would be the one that is similar in the sense that, I don't really think about it. I don't think of it as a cost per se. When I have a shower, I know that if I leave it on all day, yes, there's a cost associated at some point. And there is a bill that comes, but by and large, like, I don't measure out like, oh, I'm drinking this amount of water. This glass is costing me 0.0001 cent of whatever. And then when you're out in public, and this is why I love Australia, because you can basically go anywhere and have access to it. You go to a bar, you ask for it. You go to your gym, there's water fountains there. There's water fountains on the street. Like, there's just about water everywhere. And yes, I guess the only reminder is that it's not free is you buy a bottle of expensive water in the convenience store, and you're like, oh, I'm paying $3.
So, and if if you guys are listening to as well live, definitely keen to hear your thoughts on this. So I'll ask you a question, I guess. Does abundance have to be global, or can it just be localized to be called abundant? Because in what you're saying, I'd say there's abundant water for us. But for sure, someone in a very, very remote township in Africa would probably say, hey, it's not actually abundant for me. It doesn't rain here. I don't have it easily. But does that concept, would you say then still it's like, oh yeah, that is abundant. Water is still abundant as it applies to like my whatever
But yeah.
circle
Well, it just needs the qualifier
of like the section.
to me,
But,
for me.
but I think that's an important
us.
difference, right? Because you can say there is abundant. Now insert whatever it is that you want to talk about: technology, food, energy, wattage, intelligence, whatever. And the way that I keep hearing it, there's like two aspects of it that interest me. One is the aspect of, and again, there's probably more knows how to intelligence, but everything else, they go, abundance is coming. Don't worry. Yeah, money, Elon Musk style of what he's been saying. Basically, he's sort of saying, forget investing in your future. Don't worry about super. You're going to get all the money you need. Don't worry about it. Chill out. And that level of conversation, I go, I can see...
From the richest man on earth.
I can see abundance coming to certain pockets of humanity. I can see that happening, for sure. Like we just talked about. There's abundance of water in our immediate area. It's not too much of a step further to start thinking, okay, well, we are probably going to find ourselves in abundance of intelligence. Just say intelligence. I would say we're in this murky location where it feels like there's a lot of things going on, and maybe the takeoff of intelligence is still like, it's rising. But I was listening to a podcast yesterday, like last couple of days, and that got me thinking, so I'll have to comment on the video, being like, in 2024, if I'd listened to this would seem crazy. Like this would seem out of control crazy and in speed. And now I listened to it today, and it's like, okay, cool. Like the delta between yesterday and today is like, okay, I can see this progression of it. So insert whatever time frame you want. I can certainly see a point where we feel like we have abundance in intelligence. And that could be because we use AI technologies, or because things that we're operating and interacting with have intelligence or connectivity to the point that for us, it's like, oh man, super intelligent. Like we've got all the things that we have at hand. Mm-hmm. But that does not apply for absolutely every single human on earth. It doesn't kind of like replicate just automatically. I'm sure right now that maybe feeling of abundance of intelligence in San Francisco or other locations in the world that are super connected in with whatever's going on, maybe they feel like they're even more in an abundance intelligence sector than maybe some of the other people are. So that being said, the statements when people get made of like, oh yeah, so yep, don't worry about it, we're going to be in abundance, then seem really disconnected to, yeah, but it's not global. Like this is not global, and I don't see it happening globally very quickly either, in the same way that, yes, water has become a very abundant thing in the world. Always has been in a way, but the distribution of it has been the difficulty. But there's still ton load of programs to try and get water to required areas. And it makes me go, I feel like the conversation of abundance and the way that it's being grouped is so localized and extrapolating it globally, where I go, oh man, that seems like a real big issue. And then it also makes me, like you're saying, like from the richest people on earth, where they go, don't worry about it, you're just going to have all this money. It's like, yeah, but I think there's a couple of links being missed here about how do you distribute and what's fairness. And of course, you with trillions of dollars is very different to the people who then you have to kind of like fight for the scraps.
It's retarded because they're adding there's two things they're doing. There's one, there's like, just because it's a large quantity doesn't mean it's infinite. So like, yes, it's more, and you could even say it's going exponentially more in some graphs, but it doesn't mean it's infinite. And then also that, therefore, the cost is infinitely low and essentially zero. I think they add the two of those things in. So when they talk about food, for example, I'm struggling to imagine a scenario where you can get every single food available at all times. So, some things are harder to cook or grow or make. I'm thinking to like, I don't think it's called the potlatch, but there's like versions of things where time is involved as well. It's got to cook underground, or you got to marinate it for like
you don't have
3
an
years.
Instant potato or an instant pineapple.
A wine from like 1830 or something. Like, are we able to age things more Are we at the point where we can like use, alter time to make wine fucking go 100 and, what did I say, 1830?
Like
So 190 years in an instance. Like, it's just chemicals, I guess. So there's no reason, like theoretically, I'm just trying to think, is there things that time itself can only create? So for example, like, uranium half-life or something. So you got some uranium. We've got uranium waste all around. We know the half-life of it, like, give it 30 years and it is like half of it is decays, right? So
half-life, yes. Yep.
So if that was the case, then all of these sorts of problems would be like, oh, we'll just make it decay and make it go away or something. So when I think of things like that, I just like, I struggle to imagine a world where concepts like time and space in themselves are like altered and that we can just get whatever we want and then it's free.
Yeah. And I think, so there's like two distinct places, like I was just thinking of taking this or just talking about it. I'll go this part first, which is, I really think so. An abundance of one thing, I get how you could probably get to that even at a universal level. Eventually, I'm sure you could get probably abundance of water for everyone, and then that becomes really like something that you're like, oh, it's abundant. What's an example of this? Air. I guess you could say, for the most part, for every human on Earth,
that was coming to my mind.
Air is abundant. There is obviously ways you could not have that. If we're all on the moon, then you don't have an abundance of air. So again, it's not a universal, but it is applicable to all humans. We have abundance
where
of
we're
air.
at right now. I'd feel comfortable saying that.
So then if you said, look, you're going to like air, so use that concept. We're going to have abundance of everything else, which is really kind of like the story of the swim, the fish swimming in the ocean. It's to the concept of, so money, you won't even think of money anymore. You won't even think of food because it's just so readily available that it doesn't even cross your boundary of thought process behind that. And part of me goes, to achieve that in the way that some particular like techno forward facing individuals are thinking, I almost think to really achieve that, we have to like jump away from carbon based substrate to just literally uploaded humans somewhere else playing around in computers to achieve that level.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't think within our construct of humanity we will or can achieve that level of abundance.
Agreed.
Because, and I think the clear reason as well why is because the concept of at least the abundance, there's got to be a finiteness to it, and those resources, whether it's food, water, money,
gold,
whatever, is going to be distributed. And I'm saying highly likely it's going to be distributed not in a linear, in a well-structured, average way. No way. There's no way it's going to happen.
But this where I guess the abundance thing is like, it doesn't like, it's the concept of multiple infinities. If you've heard of that, there's like infinity, but then there's infinity alpha, and that's bigger than like infinity beta or something. Yep. And so I guess the argument there would be like, oh yeah, okay, maybe in the West we'll have infinity alpha, but they're going to have infinity beta in the...
It'll be more. Yeah. It'll be more. If you want to check out Infinity Hotels, a great video about the concepts of infinity. It's a really good video. So there's like that. There's like, yes, you can have infinity or like unlimited, but this person's going to have unlimited plus, and they can do more sort of thing or more resources. So again, the abundance... thinking there kind of like it's flawed unless you completely separate it out into you're just operating in complete different fields of operation, like in a computer or something where it is you're living in a localized version where you can have anything and everything that you want and it's purely just whatever you can dream. Okay, then maybe abundance does get hit with that.
I want to touch upon like the abundance mindset, so like actions, behaviors, if this reality were to come true. But my last like gripe, and I can lock in here, people. This is where I'm going on my little rant. So I was thinking more about why I dislike the concept of infinity. And so when I really think about it, time, I don't think we can say time's infinite because there was a starting point. So it's not going infinite backwards. Like by and large, we agree Big Bang happened. That was kind of when time started. Was there time before that? That I think that distorts the concept of what time is so much that it doesn't really exist. And same with space. Like, did space exist? The concept of spatial things exist before the Big Bang. When you're discussing that, I think that's beyond what we mean by time and space, and that it becomes like a spiritual or metaphysical thing. So there's definitely a starting point. Then we go to like this ending point where it's like, okay, but Kyron, there's infinite space out there, right? Like, everything just shot out and it's gone to infinity. That's where it gets to that concept of like, if there's no consciousness, if there's not something to be observed, is it actually real? So I think like, even if I die and you die right now, and then no one was to ever walk in here, kind of getting to that concept of like a tree falling in the woods, does anyone hear it? I would still say there's a laptop there in front of us, but in a certain extent, it isn't as well. And this is why I struggle with infinity, because like there's so many things that are just counterintuitive, and I get that quantum physics, for example, is counterintuitive. You look at something and then it changes from being a multiplicity of things to one thing.
I get what you're saying. So like, I'll give an example of if you've got a blue ball in a box, right? The ball is not blue. Like, the ball actually doesn't have materialistic concepts behind it that is blue. It is photons that hit a ball that go into your retina, and then you process it as blue.
Yeah.
If you had this ball in empty space, no sun, no photons that hit it, then it doesn't inherently have a color. It just is shape. It's atoms, but the atoms themselves, maybe they oscillate in the electrons, and that has some sort of wavelength light. But in itself, without a photon hitting it and the chemicals that come off it to make blue, there is no blue. Yeah. So without the observer, and specifically a human that considers that blue, unlike one of those lobster crabs, what are they called? Freaking really fast punching crabs under the ocean. I don't know if you've heard about these crabs.
The shrimp?
Those like...
pistol shrimp?
Yeah, the pistol shrimp, that they see in like infrared and ultraviolet and all that sort of stuff. They might see it in a different way when you show them a ball. But regardless, it's the observer that then brings about the color blue. So then same thing with abundance, in that we are observers to something to call it abundant. But again, it is our perspective of what abundance is. And as you say, if none of us were here, right, if there was no humans on Earth, but there was a gold aplenty, is there abundant gold? Like, is that meaningful? I guess it's only meaningful because we are put to it something that then we want to use and we want to operate with. Because to a chimp, maybe monkey, to a chimp, gold is not something to even care about abundance. Just kind of like we don't really consider the abundance of air to be something amazing. It just is. So I think because a lot of the things that just is, we don't think about them in an abundance concept. Here, the conversations of abundance, it only applies to the things that we really care for, and then we just disregard all the stuff that's already abundant because it doesn't matter. So I think the observer part of it all is supremely important. And I'm sure if we cared about something completely different and we chased after something else from an abundance perspective, then that would be the thing as opposed to something else. Yeah.
I think it's just because we ourselves are so limited, there's, I think, we can only conceive of things as limited as well. So, I mean, I guess that's starting to get onto, okay, if there is just such an excess of things, do we behave differently if there's 1,000 apples in front of us versus 10,000 apples, for example?
Also, is there a difference? Is there a difference between 100 million apples or 105 million apples? I'd start to go like, not really. And at what point is in this conversation, what does abundance mean? The various things, because you can hit it doesn't have to be infinite. It just has to hit a limit where you as a brain are just like, oh, there's so much of it. Like, I don't have to worry. There is no worrying anymore.
And that's probably why someone like Elon Musk, talks about money the way he does. It's just, yes, is there much of a difference for him between 623 billion and 670 billion. No. Whereas for us mere mortals out here,
it's very different. Very different.
1/1000th of a billion, aka a million, is like that's a decent deal.
That's a decent chunk. Yeah, I mean, he's closing in on being.
So perhaps if the more abundance you get, the more enlightened you get about abundance.
That's true. I think of the latest. If I just think about it correctly, it's still off, but he's about Elon Musk. I think his net worth is about 60% of all of Bitcoin. Yeah, because Bitcoin's right now like a 1.97 trillion market cap in Australian dollars, and I think he's 1.2 trillion. Yeah, so he's closing in on Bitcoin. I was want to quickly jump to the Boostagram Lounge, and then we'll jump. There's another part of all of this that I want to just discuss. We do have a boost from Cole, Mr. McCormick. Sorry, the last conversation, he said this conversation has me thinking about the economics in Star Trek, which is very interesting. I've been not reading it myself, but reading it through the abstract of another conversation. In the future, they have the machines called replicators. They create any and all material items. Money becomes obsolete. Ownership and private property fades away. What stays consistent is the idea of personal property. From that perspective, think of a deck of Pokemon cards. What is more important? You own those cards, or those cards are personally yours? That's 333 sats using Fountain.
Thank you, Cole.
And yes, definitely. I think it's the conversation of owning the cards versus the cards themselves being of importance. So, yep.
He posted a video. I forgot to watch it. Sorry, Cole. But I did have a chat with him for half an hour recently. Okay. So, thank you, Cole.
Appreciate the boost. Thank you very much. And there's a couple of streams as well that came through as well.
And if people want to help support the show, meremortalspodcast.com/support. Many different ways. Time, talent, treasure. You can give me a shirt like Peter did when my here comes the boom. When my bag got lost in Canada. And you can also...
Do you know what that shirt signifies? What the Here Comes the Boom is?
I have no idea. Do you?
I have heard it in some other context. I've heard it in a wrestling context. So that's why I was like, what concept is this, Peter? If you're listening in, mate. What is this one?
I actually used another of his shirts yesterday for there was an 80s themed party, I guess, at my gym, and I used his shirt of Bigfoot fighting a unicorn on it, and it was beneath my regular gear. I don't know if I sent this to you guys and showed you on the group chat.
No, you didn't. There you go. I'll try for the 80s look.
Put it up.
Damn, the 80s was 46 years ago.
Nice. I wish I'd lived
at least when the decades began.
That's where I'd go back if I could.
The 80s. Yep. So actually,
thank you very much, Cole.
Yeah, appreciate it, mate. The one I wanted to ask, and maybe that doesn't get asked enough, at least in all these conversations I hear, regardless of the topic of it, is but is abundance a good thing? Like, does abundance actually just bring always?
Well, yeah, I think I might have typed something about a utopia. Is an infinite utopia possible? And when you hear about abundance, it's usually in the
utopian sense. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, and so like my default stance on this is, as much as we think it would bring an infinite utopian of amazingness, there is a part in all humans that suffering, difficulty, growth, imbued by having to pursue something, brings about itself some joy and some happiness. And if you were just abundant in terms of you had everything given to you, there is no, thing that you have to tackle or go through a particular suffering to elevate your thought or processes or actions or how you are, I think that would quickly, maybe not, I won't say default be like negative, but you'd quickly get to like a very neutral emotional perspective around it. I don't think it would be as joyous and as wonderful as one may think, because you will expand the level of your suffering or you feeling your suffering regardless in your position. So if you're sitting in Botswana and you don't have too much water and you don't have that much food, when you get a little bit of water and a little bit of food, amazing. Like, it's freaking unbelievable. If you are Elon Musk or put in here a very high net worth individual, you don't react the same when you get a little bit of water and a little bit of food. Like, it's abundant to you in that concept. You just get it whenever. And you're almost annoyed when it doesn't come at the speed or the quality and everything else that you want. So it's the same thing. It's literally the same rice and the same water, but two very different reactions depending on how abundant that particular thing is to the individual. Now, if you apply this to not just everything, but just say like a big breadth of things that you find abundant, I kind of go, yes, the feeling or the theoretical thinking might be, well, it's going to be wonderful. I kind of go the opposite where I go, no, because then the expectation is going to be perfection basically at all times. And as soon as it deviates from perfection, then you've got a problem and you're going to feel annoyed by it. And you're going to feel as annoyed by it as you do with current like items and feelings. So I think it'll just, you as a human will still find annoyances even up that top level of abundance just purely because you'll shift the goalpost to, okay, well, everything has to be perfect at every single point in time.
100%.
And then even if you said to me, okay, yes, but abundance is going to come and everything's going to be perfect, then I go, okay, well, you're not going to go past a certain hedonic level. I think it's just going to be neutral, because if everything's perfect, by that I go, okay, well, your rate of differentiation is just neutral, then it's just going to be neutral. Like there's going to be no change to the above because you have nothing in it comparable to bring it down and up.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to go, unless we change literally the human and our way of dopamine and serotonin and the way that your brain works, then there's going to be a cap of goodness that's going to come from it. So you'd almost want abundance. You get abundance and it's taken away. Then you get abundance and it's taken away. So you can feel the good circumference.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of it in that way. My little thought experiments were like this. Let's say we've got the replicator that Cole was talking about, and I want to go like across human history. So the people who had the closest type of things to that. So I'm thinking like kings, royalty. I guess nowadays you'd call them the billionaires, the upper
techno oligarchs.
Yeah, the upper 1% and things like that. Do you think, and let's just cap it at like, the 0.0001%. So like like one in the top 1,000, maybe top 10,000 richest or most abundant people who have access to the most abundance. Doesn't necessarily mean they're the richest. When it comes to eating, for example, so those with the most access to like the craziest amounts of foods, the chefs who will cook it for them on demand. They've got chefs in their own houses. They've got, the trolley systems, whatever, where it's just like food on demand. Do they limit themselves because of that? Like, do you think they would be fatter on average than the general population? Because I think of, someone like Elon Musk, and then he's a pretty chunky dude. I don't know if he's slimmed down the last couple of years or whatnot, but there was that really funny meme of like the kind of weird barrel chests.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it was like when he was on his yacht or something like that.
Yeah.
Big, yep.
And I just go, that would be hard to sort out because a lot of it's like the wealthiest people are generally older. If you're generally older, it means you're generally less active, and you're probably like fatter on average or more obese on average if you're older, I'm guessing, is the statistics. I don't know. What was your kind of general thoughts? Like if you right now had the replicator, how would your eating patterns change if you just had access to any of the world's foods on demand at any given point?
That's interesting. I don't know. I think it would actually improve for the better, but that's for me.
Yeah.
If I take, I think it might be for the better. I think
and I'm literally meaning like not just in your house. Like imagine it's just it's like your phone or something. Like you can just type on your
imagine
phone,
like Uber Eats. Like you just type in,
make an apple or something.
Yeah, and here's your apple. I think mine would improve. I think my eating habits would improve.
Yep.
But I think on average the eating habits would improve. I don't think so.
And when you say improve, do you mean you're eating better quality? You're eating closer. Like, are you going to eat more or less calories than you were previously?
I'm going to say more calories, better quality. More calories, better quality.
Yep.
I think in general, if something like a replicator existed for that, there'd probably be more quality in people that eat. But I do think the volume would increase as well. So there would be more quality. So it would be, there's a lot of things that are cost prohibitive to people where you won't eat organic grass-fed steak. You'd rather just buy the general steak because there's a cost disparity between them. If the costs were so far down that you can get something like that, and maybe the concept of organic grass-fed doesn't even make sense anymore, but it's just pure whatever meat that you want to introduce that's perfect in all its various ways. I think you would do that over not doing it if the cost is marginally the same or basically the same. But I think you would eat more quantities because it is so readily available. In that, a lot of times, at least me, and I'm assuming most humans, you might not eat the amount that you do because it is a little bit harder to obtain, harder to get. Yeah, that's why fast food, I guess, exists, because people do go and do that. So it's an example. Fast food exists because people have to get food quickly and they don't have time to go and make something else, and it's cheap. Okay, well then if you make everything cheap and you make everything instantly available, I think the default position is you're going to get better quality, but also immediate access means probably more of it because you can. So I think more calories, but better quality.
Yeah, I wonder about the last one, because when I think of my brother, for example, so he's got access to better quality foods. Like, price is not an issue. I guess availability of it kind of is, but he's got his the arrangement he's got with his girlfriend is that she cooks for him. So essentially, like, it's zero effort on his part as well. But he will still go for like the junk foods. Like, he loves the junk foods. So the KFCs, the pizzas, the other random shit, Hungry Jacks, whatever. And I think with the replicator, he would be choosing those foods still, is my guess. And that obviously macronutrient wise and things like calorie, micronutrients, things like that. And I just get the feelings, I'm just picturing like, broad US population and things like this. Like, probably I definitely agree there'd be more calories consumed with the ease of access to it. So probably in general, people would get fatter. And because I doubt there'd be a corresponding increase of
exercise or movement. Yeah.
Maybe in this scenario, we have to imagine, okay, everyone's got infinite time as well. Like, there's no necessarily need for a job. So you're not doing things for money. You're doing everything you're doing is for pleasure. What are people doing? Is exercise high up on that list? I think not. I don't think abundance brings health, for example. But if you let's just say, this is taking the wild view that abundance everywhere. And so abundance means you can
abundant of health and fitness and whatever. And I guess this is a good
so I guess
to go down. In that, so look down the path of, okay, there's abundance of food, but there's abundance of health, there's abundance of your ability of sport, My problem with that
abundance of degeneracy.
Abundance of degeneracy. I think the problem then we falter in that is that if you really start to inspect various things which people find joy in, that starts to break down into those concepts. And I don't think that you can make a good statement to say, oh yeah, but it would just evolve. No, I don't think it would. I don't think it would evolve into that system if abundance in the sporting world meant that everyone was as capable as each other, and you had all the food that you could eat and all of the rest and all of whatever, and you basically just hit this limit where everyone's almost at the same level of fitness protocol. There's not going to be much of a difference at that top layer of just what a human can perform. Maybe there's genetic differences, and I'm not talking here about then you changing your genetics to then go past that level, but just to that, I actually think it would take away from watching, I'm talking sports in particular, it would take away the joy of, oh wow, the backstory, they improved to do this particular thing, the availability of betting, because you don't know what's been happening in their world. If it just becomes, it's just abundant and they've got a bit of everything and there's no challenging things, they just achieve whatever, and any person could be playing any particular sport, let's just say, I think it removes the joy to the point of the comparable would be if I'm watching two robots play tennis. Two perfect robots playing tennis. That's not exciting.
Yeah, well, you don't even... Chess. We have this example right now.
Does anyone care about watching two robots at top elo playing each other?
No, absolutely not.
Not really. You care about the humans playing.
Yeah, but chess is more popular than it's ever been right now.
Sure, yep.
So, obviously, there's a
there's literal machines and algorithms that are way better than humans. Yep. Could ever be. And we're sort of like, yeah, okay, we're going to watch the humans.
Yeah, but I want to watch Magnus Carlsen play blitz chest.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's the thing. So it gets to I kind of feel like, all right, if there's does an abundance mind, and there's this abundance mindset, you've heard of this before. It's like act in the world as if there is more things. And I guess like the reason to have this is not to have a zero-sum mindset of like, if you've got something, it means that I don't have something. And so it becomes like a battle. Whereas
it's just like there's so much of it, you can go get it and you won't impact anyone.
And usually you hear this when it comes to like money-related things. If you're poor, you need to have an abundance mindset of like, it's all out there. You just have to fucking work hard to get it. And I agree with that. I think that's a mindset which is useful, helpful for improving yourself from your current lot. And then you can also get caught in the trap of like, but more. And so one thing I don't think would change with, let's just say this world comes to be of abundance, health, money, the concept of money goes away, food, relationships, all these sorts of things. I don't think the innate human characteristics go away. So it kind of goes back to what Cole was saying with the cards. Like if I've got a card, you're like, oh, I can replicate this card. You replicate the card, and I'm like, yeah, that's nice, but this one's mine. And then that would still hold value in a sense where it's like, and then you'll be like, oh, what the fuck? Like he values that thing. I want that thing. And so even though it can be identically the same, there's still value in us putting value on things. And this is where it's like,
absolutely. Yep.
And so even though you can have everything, you can have the exact similar thing, there's still value. And this is where it'll be like, can you make the human mind not value scarcity? And I don't think so.
No, I don't
we're
think so
still going to value scarcity.
Yeah, for sure. It's like
seek it out.
What popped into my mind is, you could have abundance and then be like, you're going to have 1 million children, but if 2 of them are like yours through the process of going through it and raising them, I think most parents would say out there, you'd care more for those particular kids because there's imbued struggle and pursuit and striving and seeing the process as opposed to it just being abundantly given. But it's again to like it's yours. It's like the person who owns a particular thing, even if it is abundant, be it an apple or a gold bar or a computer or something else, there's a human aspect of it's yours, your connection, your story behind it. I don't think we can really remove that even in a fully abundant world.
So you don't even need to do it in a fully abundant world for it to be weird. And I remember a Sam Harris episode once where he was talking about these Buddhist monks who had, meditated so hard, done so much like soul searching and research of the philosophies of Tibetan philosophies and stuff, where they'd gotten to the point where it's like all humans are like equal in a sense, and then they're the most like egalitarian. And like this monk was saying, even though I believe the monk had children or something, and it was like he'd raise these kids as well, but he was like, if there was a fire burning in a house, and my child was in there and another person's child was in there, I wouldn't save my child first. Like I wouldn't. I would treat everyone equally in that sense, and so like. If there's suffering elsewhere and my child is suffering, I'm like, it's not that he would go out of his way to help other people, but it was purely like there was just some phrasings where it's whoa, that's really fucked up, man. Like that kid's yours, and you have kind of zero attachment to him, and that's like the whole point. I don't want to be attached to material things in the world, and that included the relationship to his child. That's sort of an abundance mindset in a way, where it's like, I care about everything, or it's like all is equal, or like there's no special, why I have a special attachment to this water bottle when I could have another over there.
Yeah, like if you had a million water bottles and don't worry about it.
And the by and large reaction to it is like, there's something morally iffy about that.
Yeah, I
and
think
it's hard to nail down exactly.
Yeah,
what
and I
it
also
is.
think so, and you were saying it before, I think having an abundance mindset where it's, you don't think about it in the way of, oh, I have a water bottle, but I could have so many water bottles and it's to do with if I work hard, strive, whatever, I can get it. I think there's a difference between and to a limit of an abundance mindset and things being abundant to a point, and then once it stretches beyond that point, then to a individual or an observer that wasn't in the abundant sphere, you might see it as, man, that is, you're just going through water bottles like really quickly. You're not valuing whatever it may be. So, the example, let's just say the techno oligarch, and as a particular group, let's just say all of San Francisco, they just proceed down this path of abundance. And in this little scenario, they've got an abundance of food and water bottles and all these things. And so every day, let's just say the most optimal thing is just to drink your water from your water bottle, and you throw the water bottle away, because at that point, you don't need it. You have a bazillion of them. Why carry it around? An observer externally to that would go, what a wasteful thing to do. Like, you can continue using it. Yes, there's some degradation to the metal, and yes, you do get a little bit of rust, but it's so little, like it doesn't affect it. But to the circle, to these individuals who are plowing down the path of abundance at a particular limit, it's like, no, you don't have to worry about this in abundance. Same thing goes, scale it back a little bit. If you came from a family that didn't have all that much money, and you might have grown up with doing a lot of recycling and taking like your cans, bottles. Here in Australia, you can take cans and bottles to a recycling station and you get 10 cents for every can, depending on the states that you're in. Let's say you grow up with that. You take fast forward 20, 30 years, you make it in life, you've got a lot of money, and you don't need to recycle per se, let's just say. And so you might just not recycle, maybe you just throw it in the bin. Observer 20 years ago, or like someone in today's world who's in the position that you were 20 years ago might go, man, wastefulness. Like, you could be getting all these little extra pieces and bits, but to the human in the new context, they go, no, I don't, like, that's not an abundant mindset. You can't think about it this way. You've got to operate in the way that there's going to be way more out there. And I think both points are right. Actually, both of those states are correct. They're just in different states of life, states of operation, states of what it means to be abundant and use things and not use things. And so if you then push the idea of true abundance for everyone everywhere, like all these technology people are talking about it, well, it's exciting in the thought. In the reality, I think it's going to land us in this position of some people having more abundance of particular things, and the people who have good abundance but aren't at those upper levels will just see it as more of a differentiation. And right now, maybe to the example of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there's like a base layer. A great level of abundance would be if everyone has the base layer. Wonderful. And then everyone can operate from that point. But we're not going to stop that like that as humans. People who are at whatever level are going to just keep on going to higher levels because they can. And, unless you're super altruistic, which most people are just not going to be like this, you're going to keep going. You're going to be like, more, give me more. I've got abundance here, so give me more abundance there. And you'll just create more discrepancy. I think it was in a conversation with Lex at the moment that I'm listening to. He's talking to these two other AI guys, like a 4.5 hour conversation. And in one point they were talking about the thing people don't understand is that some of these software engineers and technology people that are working in these companies, they're not like a standard deviation better than other software engineers working in AI or in other tooling in different companies. They're like 3, 4 standard deviations better, smarter, more efficient, whatever you want to call it. And so the comments they're using is like, if you compare X person working at whatever company versus these people here, you don't even you can only really tell maybe a standard deviation or 2 on the difference of intelligence or concept or ability. But when it starts going beyond a certain point, you just don't understand it. Like it's beyond your concept or conceptualization of what the hell's going on and what the shift in movement is. And thinking about it this way in abundance, I think we're going to have people at magnitudes bigger standard deviations of abundance in comparison to the people who just have like a general abundance, and it'll create a huge disparity that you don't even know of, more than what we see today. So maybe we see a disparity right now between the top 1% to people who just have the means to do whatever they need to like the very lowest. And I kind of feel like we're going to create abundance for the lowest. People at a middle layer will go a little bit higher, but the people at the top are going to go to such magnitude levels of abundance that it'll kind of feel like you don't have abundance anyways, because you'll just see this comparison of like, for us, we go, oh man, we have abundance of water and we have abundance of, let's just say, equipment. And for them, it's like, well, I've got 1 trillion robots on demand, and I can do all these crazy other things, and I don't even have to lift up a finger, and I'm already uploaded into fucking a computer, and I'm a million different Elon Musks at the same time. And I gotta go, all right, are we as a human going to be satisfied that then we've reached abundance? Nah, not at all. I think it'll just be this competitive view that all of a sudden, because I think abundance in the concept that people are talking about is everyone gets everything, and that's not going to happen. There's no way that's going to happen.
Agreed. There's like no limit to human greed, ambition, power, the striving for more. I think of what comes to mind is, you know, Mr. Beast destroying a Lamborghini. So like, you know, that Lamborghini, 50 years ago was the best car. Like, it's the best car ever. Like, if you could transport it 50 years in time backwards, it's wow. That thing's a marvel. Yeah, he just destroys it for fun and views on YouTube. What you're like, okay, but it can't get much more extreme than that, right, Kyron? Like, fuck off. Of course it can. Like, where you get to the point where it's like, I could smash one planet into another like marbles, and I could watch it from, you know, an optimal distance away, so that it's kind of like a surround screen vision. Like, imagine you're watching it in a movie type context. I'm going to want to see that. Everyone's going to want to see that. Are you kidding me? Like,
no, 100%, man. Well, and here's the 2 points. One, the other thing that came to mind was, and I think Tony Robinson was saying this in some conversation, of like communism, right? Like, he went to Russia at some point years and years ago, and, you know, the whole point of communism is everyone, you know, kind of the same, and everyone gets given what they need. But the example he was sort of saying is he went there to do a bit of a conversation or present to some people. And in the spouting of communism, you would see people like around the block to all get the single loaf of bread and single bit of milk. But then you'd have the oligarchs and the people with power fucking eating caviar and doing all this shit. So yes, it's kind of like you can spout the idea of communism, but like in that aspect, it's communism for you, but not for me, because I've got everything. Right. That is just by default, I think most humans are going to fall upon that sort of thought process. Not everyone, fine. But there's just enough humans on Earth that have that type of view where maybe, and again, the danger signs goes, the abundance kind of looks like like a hybrid communism, in like, okay, everyone gets everything, you got minimum basic services of income, and you get all these good things, which you do. Like, it isn't that you don't. You do get all these great things. But then the top layers of the people who can get even more will get more. Like, it's not... I don't think it's default nature that they'll go, okay, well, I'll stop too, and I'll just get whatever. No way. There is no way.
That's the risk that, you know, these type of utopia ideas, communism, let's take, all of them have their weaknesses, socialism, different, and anything that's an ism, almost always will have like some severe flaws in it. I would be slightly concerned if there becomes like a quasi-religion / government party, which is the abundanceism, or like, you know, the UBism, or let's just call it technologism party, where they say these kinds of ideas. We're going to have abundance for everyone, you know. We're going to, you're going to be able to like give like all of these services to people free of charge and stuff, and it's just like, that it just doesn't work out that way.
No, it doesn't.
There's always like this unequal distribution, and which I try not to add too much like moral judgment on. So you see that it's like a law of the universe. You know, the amount of trees, or like variations of trees, variations of animals, of planets in the solar system, galaxies in a universe, it'd be solar systems in a galaxy, things like that. there's clusters of these things where it's like, that's not fair, that's unequal. In this amount of space should have equal atoms. Well, it's like, okay, yeah, well, if it did, then nothing would exist ever, because one atom would be like a light year away from the next atom, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, certainly when it comes to abundance, I think it's nice. I like the concept.
Yeah,
I like the concept. I like the idea. I think in a certain extent, many things are getting exponentially faster. Not access to intelligence, the amount of intelligence. I think the access is still not distributed that well. The amount of things, I agree, and cool things is rising. But yeah, does that mean it's going to be available for everyone? No. Is it a good thing that it's available for everyone? No. Not necessarily would be my answer to that.
It's not just a yes. It's not just a default yes. It's just not necessarily.
I've got a lot of. I've been dieting recently. Actually, for this week, I've officially been under 74 kg. So
nice.
That's a monthly goal ticked off. And having more access to food at home would be a bad thing.
Sure.
Because if there's cookies in the fucking fridge,
you're gonna
eat them. I'm gonna eat them, man. So having more is not helpful for this
the goal that you're trying to achieve.
Thing that I'm trying to do. So, it's a small example, but just goes to show the abundance won't change human nature. That's kind of my
absolutely. Yeah, I think my final point is going to be very technology specific, but bear with me here. Is that Dyson spheres? So if you don't know what the concept of a Dyson sphere is in essence putting things around a sun so that you can capture as much more energy directly from the sun,
if not all of the energy. Imagine just like a big solar panels.
Which, if you've been keeping up, so there's more new stuff as well at the moment. XAI has joined with SpaceX, and in the proposal of the joining of those two companies, one part of it in the American legislation information they put is so that they can achieve Kardashev Type 2 civilization, which has Dyson spheres to it. So go look up that up if you want. So they're going to be sending all these satellites up into space to try and capture energy / going to be putting a lot of the servers, databases out into space. Kind of cool. But if you front that, so you're doing that because you want to basically capture more energy for more compute, basically, to go and do certain things that you are running. The full extension of a Dyson sphere is a Matryoshka brain. I don't know if you've heard that concept. It was like in 1991 or something. You have to, honestly, people, you have to Google this. I won't be able to explain it properly, but it's like a theorized concept of basically taking everything in a solar system, not just ours, any solar system, completely decompiling it. So you use every single planet and all of the atoms that exist to basically create multiple layers of Dyson spheres all the way out from the sun. And then you're using every bit of matter that converts straight into basically compute to do whatever it is they're using for compute, Matryoshka brains. Now, in that concept, all the way as abundant as you can be for compute, basically turning a solar system purely for computronium. Yeah. That, and in a book that I'm reading at the moment, they kind of make the statement, that's not even to facilitate the maximization for life, because the way that they're explaining is there's no longer any humans that can live in such a system. They now exist basically as uploaded selves that go between this high bandwidth compute all across the Matryoshka brain. But even if I think you could think about that as the maximal abundance of you're turning every bit of matter to maximizing the amount of energy and compute and wattage that you can do. And in that, you kind of obliterate every other concept we have about abundance of water, food, sport, whatever. It all goes away because now you're just super honing in on maximizing something as abundant as possible. And so it changes the concept of everything else. And it makes me think that you could maximize abundance on other metrics, and then you would obliterate every other concept in other parts, because you might have abundance in housing, right? You go, okay, we're going to maximize abundance of housing. So every human has not just one house, 10 houses, 100 houses. Okay.
I need 10 houses.
What are you then destroying in that process of going down the path of abundance? For sure, you're going to get rid of huge amount of things. Maybe it's ecological space, maybe it's things for animals, maybe it's whatever, I don't know. But in that process, you then like obliterate or remove something else that you might have once thought as a concept for abundance or that we care about in favor of being abundant here. And so in that Matryoshka brain, Dyson sphere style, I go, the murky concept of, we're going to have abundance of everything, I'm going to go, even in that, I think it's at fault, because when you really think of abundance at everything, and here it's a maximization of energy and computronium, if you like, then you obliterate other things which now like don't exist anymore as abundance because they're meaningless. They don't even mean anything. So if you operate in the same mindset in other facets and vectors, I think you can break the idea of abundance, which is everything all at once at any point in time. I kind of go, that skips by a lot of fundamental things which will break along the way. So to everyone spouting that stuff, I think it's a couple of steps, but if anything, we should be aiming for above Haslow's hierarchy of needs, like base, and then be like, cool, be happy.
Yep. So I see Cole comes in with a comment here saying there's an abundance of life on Earth, and yet everything dies. Abundance exists from I think that certain point of view. It's is the comment there? Yeah, yeah. That's yeah. Well, there's going to be a abundance of life. Cole is longevity. We're going to live forever. So fucking change your views, mate.
Yeah, I think you can you can look at it there of, are you gonna? There's a finiteness to life, as in there's a beginning and an end, and whatever before the beginning is and whatever after the end is, don't worry about it. It's just there's a finiteness to the chemical process that makes a human or an entity, and then whatever. That's the life. But if there's an abundance of a human or humanity, and let's just say that it's extended or replicated, or you just like loop around with your telomeres and your atoms and everything else, and just kind of like reinstates and moves away the finiteness of life, then you start encountering all these other weird problems. I think the one that I've heard is, if you had a being that essentially lives forever, then it would get to a point eventually where time dilation would be so huge to such an entity that a second or a day is in actual fact 100 years in today's world. And so you'd get actually to a point that you wouldn't be able to operate and interact with humanity as per normal, because your perceived time of a second or a day is basically 100 years of existence that exists.
It'd be the opposite way, right? 100 years to them would feel like a second.
Sorry, correct. Yeah. So the opposite way of that. So there's that conversation of another problem would arise based on that. But
sure.
Yep.
Yeah. All of these things, it's just like when you start to get too sci-fi, it gets so far from.
Well, it gets away from human nature.
It not even human nature. What it is being a human, and maybe that will change over time. I still feel like you'd get a person from the 1000s and put them into everyday life here. They adapt to the crazy shit that we've all got pretty quickly, and then but they're still pretty noticeably human. Like the way they behave, the things they do, the things they care about, still more or less the same.
But the key distinction I think I would say there is, the reason why we're saying that though is because the brain of 1,000 years ago to today is not too dissimilar, as in evolution has given us other things, and the ability to think and reason has been supported by previous generations, but the brain of 1,000 years ago to today is very similar.
Correct. Yeah.
So you can elevate that. Yeah. But as soon as you get to metacortexes or complete, dislocations of the biology, and then you start moving towards like insane rates of change, then it's game over, Red Rover. There's no way you could like conceptualize with that, unless you then put them through that process.
Yeah, I'd say like as soon as we really start going like neural implants, or we're talking about putting recreating a human brain in a silicon form. Yeah, okay, bets are off. But that once again, then the question is just like, is that a human? Probably not. It's someone else. So
yeah. And again, the view. That's why. And I think it just goes back to that point of it's the observer. It's a viewpoint, right? Because then a human robot hybrid versus a human, there's just two different observers of what it means to be abundant and to have lots of things. And to a human, it'll be like, I don't need to whatever have all these things, but to a human hybrid robot thing, we'll go, no, I need to be able to consume whatever 10 to the power of 30 MIPS type of system to be able to do all these various things, and that's abundant, but I need more. It's like it's just you can't even compare them anymore. It's just two different things.
Yeah.
Cool. Unless there's any other comments or thoughts, thank you very much for listening in, folks, to the Mere Mortals. It has been a very wide-ranging conversation in the Meanderings. We usually go at 9 a.m. on Australian Eastern Standard Time on the Sundays. So thank you very much for joining all. Take
Sovereign
care.
Individual
Be well.
next week is the plan.
Sovereign Individual, that's right.
The book review.
Be well. Mere Mortal Lads. One out.
Current out.
Good.
Abundant.
Ciao.